Hi, this is Jesse Barkasy. It is Friday, December 12th. Thought I'd do another report just because it's very interesting. They're starting to talk on the news, oh, there's trillions of debt in the oil market and things like that. So they're starting to wake up to the fact of what, the real implications of oil going down is potentially going to be. And we have deflation in gold, deflation in silver, deflation in a lot of the precious metals, deflation in agriculture coming a little bit. We have now deflation in energy, oil and natural gas. And what that causes is pretty much there's no pricing power. The pricing power right now is for iPhones. I look at Ford's cars and certain automobiles. There's some pricing power left there. There's some pricing power in housing, not as much as it used to be. And that's about it. But there's no pricing power in energy, which is a huge industry. There's no pricing power in, again, a lot of the precious metals. Steel is starting to get hit. Iron ore. Anything where you make a solid thing, there's not much pricing power. Aluminum, a little bit. So what happened very simply is, I think in 2007 and 8, the Federal Reserve did not let enough companies go out of business. Otherwise, they would have had pricing power now. Now, maybe we would have been lower on the Dow, and maybe the Dow would have went lower and there would have been more layoffs. But I think it would have been a longer recovery if they didn't interfere as much or at all. Yes, there would have been a disastrous crash, they would have called it. Disastrous to people who weren't as solid as some people who had cash positions and who didn't have a lot of debt. And maybe that was the politicians' friends. So they screamed and cried that that was a disaster. Maybe a lot of Berkshire Hathaway companies would have went out of business. But Warren Buffett said, well, we need to save the economy, need to save my companies. And maybe, the head of Walmart said our real estate would have been valued less. And so they might have went down a lot. And maybe a lot of other new retailers would have came and bought a lot of land and been able to compete with Walmart. So, and maybe a lot of other ones would have went out of business. So you would have had two things going on. Say, I'll give you the Walmart example. Walmart would have went down in value because their land value would have went down. So would McDonald's have before, a lot more. And a lot of retailers would have went out of business. And new retailers with cash and investors with cash would have probably bought up land and started their own retail stores and had a lot lower cost, a much lower cost basis. And been able to really compete with Walmart, sort of like Amazon does, because their cost basis for land is very small. They hardly use any land. They're, web-based. They have some warehouses. So that's what's happening, I think. So when we have this big buying of automobiles lately, big buying of Apple iPhones. And that usually is a flood of product in the market that peaks. And I think that's going to be a peak. I mean, the only thing they could do is somehow stimulate China to buy iPhones, China and India, and Ford and GM cars. So, maybe it'll stabilize out somehow. But right now, I think we're at a various peaks. There's peak in oil, peak in gold, peak in silver. Yeah, I saw the gold buyers open up on every corner. People who own pawn shops doing very well and, opening more of them. And we got a chain of them now around this area in Connecticut. And the gold buyers I saw slowly close up here and there as the price went down. So what I think can happen potentially is a flush down in oil where everybody gets so discouraged it just, has a big flush down one day. Well, we're going to have bounces and rallies and this and that. But one day it's going to just flush down. This is my scenario that could happen. And when that flushes down, it's going to be a lot of companies going out of business or buyouts or this or that. Same with gold and silver. Even though gold and silver are on an uptrend now, maybe they're done on their downtrend. I'm not sure yet. Depends on if the dollar gets crushed. But I think gold and silver are going to come down more. I think gold's going to come down more. Copper's going to come down more. Oil, and it's just steel, everything, and then we're going to see a peak in the iPhones and the automobiles, and we'll have another reset. We'll see if the government tries to save it again. Now, the other thing that has value is, the government collected a lot of taxes, so stocks have value, American stocks. So we got a few things that I could say that have value. Stocks in big American companies, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, Target, things like that. Costco, even though it's reversing now a little bit down. iPhone, so Apple obviously is a big stock that's up, and certain autos, mostly the resellers. The manufacturers now, they kept General Motors in business, and probably a couple other companies would have went out of business. Tesla's doing something that costs a lot less. They're making cars with the electric instead of the combustion engines. So we've got, pretty much, autos is a little bit strange to me why the prices are still up. But we got autos, iPhones, American stocks, and I'm trying to think of what else. Airline tickets. Those are the things that have pricing power right now, and they're going up. So airline tickets, we got iPhones, autos, and American stocks are what have the pricing power now. And when they lose pricing power, when you see stocks drop, when you see the big rebates on the cars, they're already having the 0% financing, and when you see maybe Samsung or these other phone companies, Nokia, drop their phones to, close to half the price of the iPhones, and people start buying those, I'm already seeing some of that, then the iPhone, can drop. But the iPhone still has pricing power. That's one of the top ones, so maybe that's why that stock is still holding up. And we'll see. Either they're going to roll over the top products in demand, or the oil and gold and silver and commodities and copper and emerging market stocks are going to get some pricing power. And the dollar, of course, is another thing that is up there with the airplane tickets and the iPhones. That's what's working on the upside. The dollar, airplane tickets, iPhones, some cars. I mean, Ford sells cars for, I don't know how, I look at these cars, these small cars, they look like they're worth about $15,000, some worth $25,000, and the $15,000 cars that Ford sells, they sell them for $25,000. The sticker prices are $27,000, $28,000. I see cars that I think are worth about $22,000, $25,000 on Ford, they're selling them for $35,000, $40,000. $40,000 for like a regular sedan. General Motors seems to be a little bit cheaper, and their quality is good right now too. So I think that that could switch. So we'll see. The stocks are starting to lose their pricing power here, the American stocks, and it's not much. So we're still on a big uptrend. If it continues, and then the iPhones happen, and then the airplane tickets, then we got a full-fledged correction. And the Fed has let so many companies stay in business that they're out competing each other. They could make they can make phones for everybody on the planet, I think, pretty much now. Between Nokia, Apple, and Motorola and Samsung, they could probably make a phone for everybody on the planet, and probably cost them $10 to $50 a piece to make a phone. The cars, they could make probably double the cars they're making now between Ford, GM, Chrysler, Fiat, Toyota, Honda. So, this is what is concerning me, and we'll see what happens. We're still in a bull market as of now, but I'm just leaning to the short side. I feel like the oil has really shown the cards of the market, which is major deflation due to too many companies competing with each other, which is what they stopped in 2007 and 8. And this is what the Fed did. They did it a little too early, I think. I think they should have let the market bottom a little bit more. They're saying it was going over a cliff. Well, some companies would have went out of business. Some more, yes. But then you put the money in at a very solid bottom, more of a solid bottom than trying to prop it. And you got, a very solid base that we go off of. So let's see what happens here. It's very interesting. We're down 201. It's 224. I'm going to download this video and just see what happens the rest of the day. Leaning to the short side. I'm ready for some bounce rallies, though. And everybody on TV is just in disbelief that this is the beginning of a correction. So maybe it isn't. Well, I don't know. I just go day to day. Right now we have about 5 or 10 days pretty much on a downslope. But a lot of people are in denial and saying, oh, this is good for the market, good for the market. There's a lot of people employed by the oil sector and a lot of debt out there. So, I'm just going to follow the trend and see what happens. Maybe something else can pick up the slack. I don't know what it would be, but I think that oil is too broad a sector. And, between oil and the commodities, I think those are sort of the base. When prices rise, we've had oil up for a lot of years, and the stock market's gone right up with it. In 2007 and 8, when the oil went down, the stock market went down too. So I think there's a kind of a more direct correlation than people think. Maybe it was for a different reason. So, we'll see. Maybe people will start buying houses again or something. Something to prop up, demand. That's what we need. All right, thank you and have a great day. Be very careful. I'm tending to go short. I'm not in anything right now. I'm hoping for a little bit of a bounce so I can go short maybe Monday. If I don't think I could get a bounce, I'm just going to go small so I don't get whipsawed to the upside. And, these oil stocks are just killed. They do need a bounce, but they're not. I don't see big institutions coming in yet. So since I'm a small little guy, I've got to follow them. And in fact, I'd rather see like a double or triple bottom first before I even decided to enter. Maybe on a panic day, I might try a little for a bounce, in the morning or something. But we're just steadily going down kind of easy here. So, okay, have a great day. Thank you very much. Be careful when you're trading.